It was a day that shook the very foundations of trust in the medical community. A doctor once revered for his care and dedication found himself entangled in a web of legal battles. Dr. Brookhoff, known for his compassion, was now at the center of a storm. The accusations were severe: over-prescription of narcotics to patients under his care. The shock was palpable. How could a man dedicated to healing be accused of harm? Dr. Brookhoff was not alone in his struggle. He had a trusted ally in his corner, Dr. Robert Brookhoff, who had once crossed paths with the famous Elvis Presley during the King's tragic final days. Dr. Robert Brookhoff, a man of principle and professionalism, stood by his friend, ready to defend him against the mounting charges, but the path ahead was fraught with challenges. The first hurdle came from an unexpected place: the State Medical Board. When Dr. Robert Brookhoff tried to rally support from respected professors at medical schools in Memphis and Nashville, he faced a wall of silence. These professors, while acknowledging Dr. Brookhoff's skills and patient care, were reluctant to speak out. Their fear was clear: he's a good doctor, but we can't get involved now. The unspoken rule was simple: speak against a colleague, and you risk your own reputation and career. The legal battle began in earnest with depositions. Dr. Yarnell Beatty, the state's attorney, questioned Dr. Brookhoff about his prescribing practices. Dr. Brookhoff was honest but clear. He believed he had been doing right by his patients, adjusting doses when necessary. But Beatty pressed hard, revealing a shocking truth. Dr. Brookhoff's patients were not receiving the full doses prescribed. They needed more medication, according to Beatty. Dr. Brookhoff's response was candid. He recounted how he had changed the treatment plan for Mrs. Kramer, switching from codeine to morphine because her pain was severe. After administering morphine, she returned the next week, saying it was too strong. Dr. Brookhoff adjusted again, prescribing a weaker painkiller. He insisted Mrs. Kramer was not a drug abuser. His intentions were pure, but the accusations persisted. As the medical board hearing approached, Dr. Brookhoff assembled a formidable team. His lawyer, Dan Warlick, was known for his sharp mind and professional demeanor. Warlick had a background as a chief investigator with the Shelby County Medical Examiner's Office, having worked on high-profile cases, including Elvis Presley's death investigation. His reputation for being knowledgeable, decisive, and congenial was well established. With Warlick at the helm, Dr. Brookhoff's defense strategy began to take shape. They knew the road ahead would be tough, but they were prepared. The state had built its case on the testimony of Dr. Roland W. Gray, a key witness with a long history of advocating for stricter regulations on narcotic prescriptions. Dr. Gray, a pediatrician with ties to a prestigious treatment center, had a reputation for being tough on doctors he accused of over-prescribing. The day of the hearing arrived, and the courtroom buzzed with anticipation. Dr. Warlick knew he had to dismantle Dr. Gray's testimony, which had been the cornerstone of the state's case. During cross-examination, Warlick skillfully exposed the gaps in Dr. Gray's expertise and objectivity. He revealed that Dr. Gray was not a treating physician for any of the patients in question, but rather a volunteer at a treatment center where he had only a patient status. Warlick pressed Dr. Gray, highlighting his lack of direct patient care experience and his reliance on the records of other doctors. Dr. Gray admitted he had no formal title at the treatment center and was not even on the medical staff or as a director. This revelation was a significant blow. The expert witness who had confidently declared prescriptions as excessive and addictive was now exposed as having no real authority on the matter. Dr. Warlick turned to the board president, Dr. Oscar McCallum, and made a bold request to disqualify Dr. Gray as an expert witness. Dr. McCallum, known for his stubbornness, initially rejected Warlick's motion. But when Warlick argued that the board was not just a jury but a panel of experts who could judge the case on its merits, Dr. McCallum was forced to reconsider. The judge acknowledged Warlick's concerns but ultimately declined to disqualify Dr. Gray, citing the board's established procedures. Despite this setback, Warlick pressed on, asking the judge to allow him to question the board members about their own expertise. This move highlighted the board's lack of deep clinical knowledge in the specific area of narcotic prescriptions for chronic pain. As the hearing continued, the cracks in the state's case began to show. The legal battle was far from over, but Dr. Brookhoff and his team had gained a crucial advantage. They had exposed the weaknesses in the prosecution's case and underscored the complexities of medical judgment. The fight was just beginning, but with each step, they were building a defense rooted in truth and integrity. Dr. Warlick faced a very tough time after the board's decision. He knew he had to fight back, but it wasn't easy. The Medical Board of Tennessee was very firm. They said they were the experts in state medicine, backed by the governor and the state legislature. This meant Dr. Warlick's concerns about Dr. Nishapoulos were not going to change just because he spoke up. Dr. Brookhoff explained it this way. In normal trials, people don't know much about the subject. They have to trust the experts who explain everything. To make sure jurors didn't bring their own ideas to the table, they go through a process called voir dire. Here, lawyers ask tough questions to make sure jurors are fair and unbiased. Back at the hearing, Dr. McCallum and his team knew they had just given Dr. Warlick a big reason to appeal. But for now, Dr. Warlick could still practice, just with certain restrictions. He couldn't prescribe stronger medications, so he focused on lower-risk drugs. He kept searching for doctors who could help his most critical patients, but it was tough. The controversy over Elvis Presley's death kept casting a shadow over his work. In August 1993, almost 17 years after Elvis's death, a glimmer of hope appeared. A friend sent Dr. Warlick a newspaper article from the Tennessean. It talked about a quest to find a well-known pathologist to re-examine Elvis's autopsy. Dr. Smith, a Memphis dentist, had been searching for over 17 years. He wanted someone respected, not linked to Dr. Jerry Francisco, who had been at the center of the controversy. Dr. Smith's quest was not just about finding truth, it was about justice. He believed that the original diagnosis might have been wrong. A book from 1991 supported this view, showing that doctors had sent samples to private labs that concluded Elvis died from a drug reaction. This was different from what the official report said. In 1994, 17 years after Elvis's death, Tennessee released a new autopsy report. They hired Dr. Joseph Davis from the University of Miami. Dr. Davis was very experienced, having done over 20,000 autopsies in his career. The Baptist Hospital sent all the old materials, tissue samples, slides, photos, and reports to him. Dr. Davis had a clear view. He said drugs did not kill Elvis Presley. He explained that it takes time for drugs to cause death, and Elvis wouldn't have had enough time. His body showed no fluid in the lungs, which would have been needed if he had died from chemical poisoning. Dr. Davis believed Elvis died from a heart attack, not from drugs. A team of respected toxicologists, including Dr. Kevin S. Marijan, looked over Dr. Davis's findings. Dr. Marijan, while not part of the official panel, had his own expertise. He said the drug levels found in Elvis's body did not match what would cause a fatal overdose. He used medical books to help interpret the levels. Dr. Warlick's writer, who was working on a book, talked to Dr. Marijan. Dr. Marijan compared the drug levels from the new report with his own knowledge and textbooks. He confirmed that the original conclusion about a drug overdose was not correct. This new information brought some hope. It showed that the original findings might have been wrong, and Elvis's death could have been due to a heart attack rather than drug use. This was a significant shift and could change how people viewed the case. However, the fight for truth and justice was far from over. Dr. Warlick and others continued to push for clarity, knowing that the truth deserved to be found. Dr. Nishapoulos, a doctor who examined Elvis Presley's body, strongly disagreed with the initial conclusion that Elvis died from a drug overdose. He thought the amounts of drugs found in Elvis's system were too small to cause death. Let's break down what happened. First, Dr. Nishapoulos looked at codeine. Codeine turns into morphine in our bodies. Elvis had much less codeine than what's usually seen in a fatal case. The liver, where drugs are processed, had a low amount of codeine. This meant Elvis likely took codeine, but not enough to cause his death. Next, Dr. Nishopoulos examined diazepam, a drug known as Valium. Valium breaks down into different chemicals in the body. The lab report only found one of these chemicals, called a metabolite. The amount was very small, suggesting Valium was taken a while before Elvis died. A high amount would be needed for an overdose, and Elvis's level was much lower. Other drugs found included ethchlorophenol, another sedative, and amibarbital, a short-acting sleeping pill. The amounts of these were also far below what would cause death. Methaqualone, known as Quaaludes, was present but not quantified precisely. However, even high amounts in other cases didn't lead to death without high liver levels, which Elvis didn't have. Dr. Nishopoulos also mentioned Demerol and phenobarbital, finding traces but no blood levels to measure. He felt these weren't enough to cause death either. He strongly believed Elvis didn't die from an overdose. Instead, he likely went asleep and stopped breathing, a common way people die from sedatives. Despite Dr. Nishopoulos' evidence, many still believed Elvis died from drugs. The initial report suggested this, and the media didn't want to change their story. They wanted Elvis to be seen as a victim of drugs, not a natural death. The state sealed the report to satisfy local leaders, even though it wasn't fully accurate. Years later, in 1995, the state offered to settle the case against Dr. Nishopoulos. They asked him to admit to all the alleged facts and conclusions, essentially asking him to confess to a crime he didn't commit. Dr. Nishopoulos refused. He had worked too hard to prove the truth and couldn't just give up now. Around the same time, a judge ruled that the board examining Elvis's case could rely solely on their own expertise, without needing outside help. This meant the board could decide without questioning their own qualifications, which Dr. Nishopoulos found unfair. Through this whole ordeal, Dr. Nishopoulos stood firm in his belief that Elvis's death was not from a drug overdose. He felt it was unjust that people kept pointing fingers at drugs when natural causes were more likely. His fight to clear Elvis's name went on, even as other cases and distractions came his way, like a musician named Jerry Lee Lewis. In the end, Dr. Nishopoulos refused to admit to anything he didn't believe was true. He wanted justice for Elvis, not just for the sake of the case, but because he felt it was the right thing to do.